You're listening to From Our Lens, a podcast for photographers and brides where we dive into all things weddings.
Whether you're a pro behind the lens or a bride-to-be, we've got you covered.
Join in on the conversation and take it from the gals who have been to a wedding or two.
Grab your camera or your wedding planner and tune in for our hot wedding takes. Let's focus on your forever.
Hi friends, welcome back to the show.
Welcome.
I feel like every time I do this intro, I try and spice it up a little bit, but it's always the same.
There's a really lack of spice. Like, it's hard to make it different.
We are talking about something fun today.
We're continuing our series here.
Yeah, so we are going to do, like we've talked about getting ready. We've talked about some tips for that. We've talked about tips for your ceremony.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about tips for all things portraits. So we're talking about family portraits, bridal party portraits, and then our all-time fave, just both of you, you and your man, or you
Bridal
and your
portraits, yeah.
lady, anybody, all of the above.
Yeah.
So let's start off with some stuff about family portraits.
Yes.
Because I think, again, this is a part that people stress about maybe a little bit.
It's a big stress. I get so many questions about family portraits.
It's a common question I get too.
Yeah.
I think as long as you're like calculated in what you want to do, it usually can run pretty smooth if you're organized. But if you kind of don't do anything to organize it, then
major key is organization, pre-planning, letting your people know, letting your photographer know
what the game plan
organization, and family photos can literally take 15 minutes.
No, they can if you
can make it fast.
Yeah.
If it's prepared.
We are going to help you
seamless,
make it seamless.
Yeah. Totally.
We are here for you. We want you not to stress. We don't want to stress.
No.
We want it to be so good.
Totally.
So we're going to give you our help.
Yeah. So, number one, family portraits, lists.
Yes.
List.
That's what I say when everyone asks me, how does this work? I'm like, okay, we're going to make a list.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, like, as a photographer, we could very well make you a list, but the thing is,
it's not personal.
It's not our family.
No.
So if you have the time, I know that like your wedding planning is stressful enough, and it's just like I know it's one more thing to add to your list of things to do. But if you can just carve out some time and think about what you want for your family photos, all the different groupings, and just write it out, it's done.
Yeah.
It's like one thing that just wipe the sweat, you're done with it, like no more stress.
And then, and like you can talk to, okay, mom, what do you want for family photos? This is prior to the wedding. You're sitting down writing your list. Mom, she's like, I want a picture with you. I want a picture with the groom. Okay, write that down. Grandparents, what photo do you want? Oh, I want a photo of us with all the grandkids.
Think about asking the grandkids.
Yeah, so like
people.
Everyone in your life, say, what photos do you want? This is our time frame. You write it down, and then you know. Yeah. There's nothing missed. You give it to your photographer. They check it off. And it just goes so smooth. And then no one's like, I've heard so many stories from people I know, one in particular, and they said it was a mom. And she's like, I never got a photo with my daughter on her wedding day.
That's so sad.
And, it's busy. It happens. Like, it's not necessarily your photographer's job to make sure if they don't have a list, they are not the one that needs to make sure, the bride needs a photo with her mom.
Because, like, for all we know, maybe you don't want a picture with your mom. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a busy day.
It's so busy.
I think that's just
and people, there's so much stuff happening, and you're like, did I get this? Yes, no. So you set this time, you have your list, someone's checking things off, and then it's done. Because that can be such a stressful thing for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because they're not in control of that part of the day.
Exactly.
They're kind of being told where they need to be.
And it's a blur. Things happen. But lists, number one. Yeah. Number two.
Give someone the authority to be in charge of the list.
We need someone bossy, someone loud.
Usually, like, this is what I say, but, like, listen, like, if you don't have someone, I have no problem being in charge of the list.
That's part of our job. Yeah.
It's part of our job. But I always find, like, if you can give your list to, like, your crazy cousin Anne. Yeah. So let's just say,
your sister,
as much as, like, we love her.
Yeah.
Anne, cousin Anne, she's loud. She's the boss.
She'll get it done.
She'll get it done. The nice thing about also having someone in your family in charge of the list.
They know everyone.
Is that they know anyone. Yeah. Like, I can read anyone's family portrait list as myself.
But you're like, Auntie Gail.
I'm like,
who's Auntie Gail?
Who's Auntie Gail? Yeah. But your cousin Anne will know who Auntie Gail is, and she'll be like, oh, Auntie Gail is out smoking a cigarette. Let me go get her. Like,
literally. Yeah.
they know who Grandma Sue looks like. Like, the thing is, when you ask your family to kind of help out too,
yeah,
like that's a little bit easier. Like we would probably waste more time looking for who Grandma Sue is because we don't know who she looks like. And we're trying
to pronounce names, and like it's still good for us to have that list. But if you have that person who knows everyone,
have them in charge,
is loud, and like people will be like, oh, she yelled, like we gotta go. Like listen to that person. It makes things run so smooth.
Yeah. And also they have a job. They're happy. Like usually when you ask somebody to help out on the wedding, it does kind of make them feel important.
Yeah.
And it is nice to include them in that way. So it's always nice. They can be the cattle herder for this.
Yeah. And it also is one less thing that we have to think about. Like then we can focus exposure. Like focus like
on our settings for you,
making everyone's looking at the camera.
I was gonna say making sure everyone's looking, all the kids are smiling, like everybody's.
One less thing we have to think about while we're doing that, and like we can do it. And if there's not a loud vocal person, like I've been asked by brides to be the person that says, okay, everyone, let's get this photo, like whatever.
Yes.
But if you can have someone else, it's just nice to. The main thing, knowing who people are.
It just makes it go faster.
Yeah,
more seamless. It really does.
And with this, I think any photographer would say the same. The best time to do family portraits immediately after the ceremony.
Yeah. Because for a few reasons.
For so many reasons. Number one, you can say to everyone after the ceremony, meet at the Blue Rock. It's across the yard, but the Blue Rock is where we're doing photos. So everyone goes away from the ceremony.
I love that you pick a Blue Rock. Where's
the Blue Rock?
I was ready for you to say the orchard tree.
No, the Blue Rock. If you have to paint a rock blue so everyone knows this is where we're going.
I love it. Okay.
But then, after the ceremony, everyone goes directly there. The rest of your people, like everyone else attending the ceremony, kind of hangs out and sticks around the ceremony.
But that's the one part of your day, the first part of the day where everyone's together.
Yes.
So you don't have to go like looking for
Grandma's
people.
Grandma's not taking a nap. Yeah. We're not doing a diaper change with this flower girl. Like everyone's in one location. Yep. And usually the grandparents want to go have a nap. The babies want to go have a nap. Everyone's getting a little grumpy. It's mid-afternoon. So to have it done right after you rip through, all the young people, all the older people can go, or like people can do their thing. They're not waiting around in the hot sun.
Yep.
To do pictures.
It's over with.
And then when you go to a different location or you have a bit of time, someone's late, someone didn't show up, someone had the wrong place, Yeah. So if you have somewhere close by the ceremony that you can go to right after.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, especially like not having to go and drive 20 minutes to go do your family portraits. Let's talk about location for family portraits. Yeah. Like you said, you did a little bit like somewhere close to your ceremony. I always try and suggest that, especially like if there is a nice little shady area or something. If it's a park
where you can go a little
Because then, no one's driving, no one's going to be late. Everyone just does their little hip, or, oh God, what am I trying to say? Everyone does their little jump, skip, and a hop, like to the next spot. Yeah. And it's not like a big scene getting everybody, especially if you have to move kids, move grandparents,
get in vehicles, and then kids fall asleep on the 5-minute drive then they're grumpy for photos.
So I think it is kind of nice. It is nice if you have the opportunity to do it close, even if it's like in the archway of the ceremony that you just did. Yeah. I've seen people do that.
Well, but the only thing with doing it it looks beautiful, but like, and if you're having a receiving line and people are hanging out, it's fine. But then it's going to be 45 minutes, an hour until you can do those photos. So if you want a receiving line, that's a good option because people kind of hang around, you do your thing.
That's true.
And then you try and move people to the front. But if you want to just get on with portraits immediately after and you're not saying hi to everyone or doing a receiving line, then I would say try to pick a location close by. Otherwise, I love the arch for a backdrop.
And I guess I didn't even think about the fact that too, like, you have your list. You're all ready for family portraits. You choose your ceremony archway as your background. But then there's all the other people that are
like, let me grab a picture. I want to say hi. I was going to say
you. That are still loitering, which is fine.
Which is usually what happens.
But then it's really hard to say no if someone says, "Oh, I'd like a picture," and then one person gets a picture, and then 600 people.
And then you have a line.
Want a picture, and then you have a line, and then it's not it's not your list. You made any more, and then that's when it takes an hour and a half.
And then you're behind on all your pictures. Yeah. And your schedule.
I actually did. I kind of forgot about that. That's probably not the best plan. But.
Unless there's. Because a lot of people still do receiving lines, and if you want to get that over with, people start heading to the hall, reception, whatever. But that's a big one. And then one thing to really think about is like, who do you want pictures with? And we kind of already touched upon this, like talk to your mom, talk to your grandma, but like who's important to you, and like do you really need a photo with all your third cousins?
I think it's really important to think about why, like in the why behind your photos, instead of like, oh, I think I just need this photo of all my cousins. That's just something that I should do. Like,
for sure.
Because like, what's wrong with getting a picture with your cousins at your dance? Well, if you guys all dancing
when
together.
You guys are on the dance floor, or like, I love it's chaotic and like whatever, but like when the couples run from table to table, or like people have to run up to them, I think that's such because you get the photo.
Me too.
It's chaotic, it's fun, but like you
got
also
the photo. A memory.
It's a memory.
It's fun. Everyone loves that.
It's such a trend, but I really like it, and it's like, especially when you have 300 people at your wedding. And you're trying to say hi to everyone. When you're doing the formal portraits, people stop, they hug you, they say how beautiful you look. Yeah. Like, it takes a long time. So that's a good way to just like go through it. Yeah. It works really well.
But yeah, just think about what you want. I think people do get a little bit carried away with all the different like variations of photos that you can take. Yeah. It's like, oh, I need one with both my parents, mom and dad. And
with the groom, without the groom, with the bride's family. Like, it's very...
Which I think... Some of them are important photos. Yeah. Like, you should probably get just one with your mom and then one just with your dad. But you have to do that with every single person in your family.
And I understand it, but also like you have to think back, okay, this is our wedding. It's about both of us. Yeah. And I understand like getting a picture of just you and your mom, just you and your dad. Yes. But like all the variations.
This is what I mean, like when you're talking about all the third cousins. Do you need a picture with third cousin number 1, third cousin number 2 by themselves, third cousin number 3 by themselves? And if your cousins are like
your siblings and you want those pictures, then we'll take them. Like, we don't really care. But just think about you. Yeah.
But I think just think about it instead of just picking all the variations because you feel like that's what you have to do.
I agree.
And that's when it takes an hour and a half to do your family portraits.
And then there's so many times where people have had massive, like, big group family pictures, all this stuff. And then by the time even just like a bridal party come along, they're exhausted. Your face hurts from smiling. Yeah. And you really want like your whole wedding day, like you just think about, that was exhausting. Portraits were awful. And that's why I try and like, let's just make family portraits as efficient and quick as we can, because otherwise that's what happens. You're drained by the end of it and you're ready to go and eat supper.
Yeah, we don't want that. We want you to still be having fun.
And they are important. I understand that. But if you can make it as seamless as possible, then 1000%.
Yes.
Recommend. So obviously, after family portraits, we have bridal party photos.
Yes.
So
this is kind of where everybody starts to relax and have fun.
Yeah. Pressure's off.
Yeah. Like now this is where the fun happens. Yeah. And it's honestly, I love to let the bridal party have fun. Yeah. I think it makes the most sense.
For sure.
Just when you're doing usually like a normal time ceremony at 2:00 and then your dinner's at 6. Like this is usually the best way.
We're doing like a typical standard.
This is timeline. Like not, So this is, I mean, I think it works the best. This is the part of the day that like everybody starts to relax a little bit. Everyone starts to have fun. Like
ceremony's done.
The stressful stuff has happened. And it's really honestly fun to have fun with the bridal party at this point. For sure. Yeah. Everybody's happy and celebrating, and it's good. Like I think that it is important that they're having fun with it and not just more photos. Yeah. I think that's really important
because we don't want to be the buzzkill of your wedding day. Like it should, in my opinion, this might be a hot take, but like the candid photos of your bridal party, like you need one photo of everyone looking at the camera. The rest should be candid. You should be having fun. You should be like doing, and if you just want like old school, whatever, that you got to find a photographer like that. But like what we like are those fun. We want you to be enjoying yourself. It's your wedding.
Well, like I've seen this before online where it's like, I think people get caught up in like the photo, like what is the word I'm trying to say? It's like they get caught up in like their wedding photos. They're planning their wedding around photos when in reality you should be planning your wedding for your wedding and the photographer is just there to take the photos of what it is instead of the opposite way around.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's what you're kind of saying.
Our job is to document, right?
Yeah, it should be more candid.
You shouldn't completely cater towards like, I need this shot, this shot, this shot, this shot. If you want those photos where you can feel what's happening, you're like, we were having so much fun, we were so in love. Like if you want that, you gotta like.
You have to actually have fun.
Yes.
You can't just be waiting
with your checklist.
Yes, with your checklist, with the photos you want.
For sure.
Because that's not the photos you're gonna get.
No.
If that's what you want.
Exactly.
So let's talk about maybe some like tips on how things can.
One thing to start with that we think that with bridal parties, okay, everyone wants the shot with their bridal party, their groomsmen, bridesmaids, and the flower girls, flower children, ring bearers, whatever, right? Flower children.
Sounds like a hippie wedding.
Literally. But we all know kids. They get tired and grumpy. And if you can, you know, they might be in your family, might not, but like get that shot. If you have to get the shot of the bridal party with the kids before family photos because you know the kids need to go nap, do it.
Yeah.
They don't want to be there. They don't want to.
Like when you're a kid, you don't really understand what you're doing.
And portraits are so boring
for them. Yeah.
Like even if you're having fun with it, kids don't want to be.
No.
You know.
They don't.
They want to go run around.
They want to go play in the jumping
roll down
castle.
The hill. They want to go be wild and whatever.
Get the photo and get it over with and let them leave.
I
don't think there's any point of needing them to be around and saving that.
Get that money shot that you want and
yeah.
And you can get like a couple little creative ones with them, but for the most part they're ready to go.
Yeah.
If you have someone can take the kid, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're thinking of your bridal portraits too, what's the goal? Do you want a bunch of formal photos? Do you want a bunch of candid photos? Do you need 1 million photos of your bridal party? I've never seen or heard of someone that frames those up on their wall. They probably post it on Instagram and it's capturing the memory.
I think like there's definitely like you need a good mix.
Yes.
Like you need, like you said, you need the nice formal picture of everybody smiling
just
at the camera. I think it is important to have pictures with just your girls, or just your guys. But yeah, I don't think it is necessary to get
you don't need
extravagantly crazy and take an hour taking bridal party photos. I don't think it's important. And if it is important to you, like, I mean, definitely like lay that out with your photographer.
If that's what you want from your wedding, then awesome. But most people...
I don't know. I think a lot of people just do it because they have to.
They think they need to.
They have to.
Yeah.
And so there's that. But I do think that there is a time and place for like those formal photos. And especially like, let's talk about getting a photo with each of your bridesmaids and
I think out of anything for bridal party photos, you get the big shot of the group, but get a photo with each person. As a bridal party member, you put so much time and money and thought, and your whole summer probably revolves around that wedding. Yeah. And they deserve to have one photo with you.
Yeah. And then and they're like, you want one photo. You should want a photo with each of them. Like that's the reason why they're in the wedding party with you, that they're important to you. Yeah. You should want a nice photo with them. Yeah. And it makes them feel special.
And some photographers dread doing this because it's not like,
listen, I have fun with it. I try to have fun with it.
Well, and you have to realize as a photographer, like that's what the people want. Yes, you might want these crazy wild photos of the bridal party, like the artsy pictures for your portfolio, but photographers need to think, what's important to the bride? What's important to the groom? What's important to all the people in the bridal party? Yeah. They want those pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like do this fun stuff with the groomsmen, like when we're doing those individual photos to keep it fun. Like I said, because we don't want them to be just doing the checklist
and being
because like this stuff when you are taking pictures with each of the bridesmaids and each of the groomsmen, like it can kind of feel like you're just checking things off a list. It can be stiff, so I try and keep it fun. I always do, like with the guys especially, because the girls do this too, but I think it's more fun with the guys because they always like to like be wild a little bit with it. But you get that nice photo and then you're like, okay guys, do something
Let's
silly.
Do a silly one.
Do something silly, like jump on his back. I don't know, like give him a loogie.
Give him a loogie?
What? That's happened?
What does that mean?
No, I've never told them to do.
They spit in each other's face?
No, isn't a loogie like where you go like lick someone's ear?
No. I think a loogie's where you like...
Oh, like a loogie. Okay, yeah, I'm wrong here.
A loogie. Isn't that a wet willy?
I'm wrong. Okay, everybody, don't listen to that.
Cut.
No, I think like when you let them have fun, listen, I like so many times will do like the formal photo of them smiling at me, but then the one that they post on Facebook every year for their friend's birthday is the funny one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's actually their personality and they're like, oh, she wants us to do a funny one?
It's showing their relationship. Yeah,
it shows them and they have fun with it.
Or they recreate the photo that they did when they're in basketball in high school and it's like a silly, and I think that's so special. And you just got to go back to what do you want? what do you want to get out of your bridal party photos? And I've done weddings where we do an hour and a half of bridal party. I've done weddings where we do 10 minutes of it. And I think for the most part, go back to what's today about. Yes, it's about your people. Everyone's celebrating you, but also, does it have to be all formal portraits?
No.
Yeah, I think that's a very good.
Yeah, 100%.
And another thing with bridal party portraits is often like you maybe leave the venue in a party bus, you go to the next location, and it's an opportunity to have fun. And, a lot of drinking happens, like it can get wild and crazy, but, there's always a line. But I think, have fun, enjoy it. Like, this is your time to have fun on the party bus, go from place to place.
And on this note, like you said, there's a line.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we should kind of talk about where that line is, hot topic, because like I do love to like let them drink
for
and
sure.
Like
and
have a party, because they're finally celebrating their friends. For like sure. This is all the friends hanging out. This is honestly arguably like one of the funnest parts of
for sure
the wedding day.
That,
I think so. So I love to like let them have fun, but I think as a member of the bridal party and the bride and groom, this definitely again is not the time to get blasted.
Yeah, you have to have respect for them, because if you're puking out the bus or your eyes are closed shut because you're so tipsy, and
like, listen,
you have to be there for them.
Yeah. Like, you still want to be enjoying your time. You don't want to be you don't want to get too carried away.
You gotta behave.
The time for that is reception, when it's kind of all over.
Yeah.
But like, as photographers, like, we are always trying to get your like good angles. We're trying to take good photos of you. There's definitely like not a lot we can do when your eyes are closed because you're too drunk,
or you're falling
over.
And then people they don't listen.
It's hard to listen when you're
the
drinking.
Bride gets frustrated, the groom gets frustrated, the photographer gets frustrated. Like,
you want to just enjoy that time. So there's a line.
There's the dance.
That's what I'm saying. That's the
and like
time.
We're not saying don't have fun, but like, there's lines.
Just be respectful, like you said. I think that's really important. Just be respectful of everybody else's time and what we're doing here.
And then for location for bridal party, like, I do think it's important to go somewhere else.
I think I love leaving to go somewhere else for these photos after
it gives
family
an opportunity
portraits.
To just like take a minute, have fun, regroup, refresh. I don't know.
Your photos have a different look at this point because you're switching spots. Everything doesn't look the same.
You could go like
usually like there's been lots of weddings. If it's like in someone's backyard, you just kind of go down the path.
Go to a different spot.
Yeah. And it's also nice leaving,
get away,
not just for the location change,
for sure,
but to get away from all the other people that are still around, because I know so many people hate, first of all, having their pictures taken to begin with. It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
sure. Even to us as photographers, we are always like a little nervous when we have to have our photos done. But I think it's important that your whole bridal party feels comfortable taking pictures, and it's a lot more nerve-wracking doing that when you have an audience of all the guests watching.
Are you even like, think of like when you're with your partner alone, what do you act like versus if you're with them in front of your parents?
Yeah.
Or your grandma, or like nobody, like, yes, people love to watch whatever, but like, do they want?
I think like,
no. And like, you gotta take it and enjoy it.
In order to get the good photos of everyone being candid and being comfortable and being like together and having a good time, you necessarily can't get those pictures if you have a crowd watching, because no one's going to feel that comfortable ease when you're somewhere else. And like, there's still the photographers there watching them.
Totally.
But we try really hard to make it comfortable, and so no one feels judged. Yeah. Like, but it's so different when you have 30 people behind you.
100%. Yeah. So different.
So that's a nice benefit of leaving and just going to a tiny other little spot. Like, it's nice.
But I think main things, bridal party, enjoy it, have fun.
Yeah.
And you don't have to overdo it.
No. Please don't overdo it.
Please don't. And like, it's just part of your day that like, it takes up so much time. And do you need a billion shots of your bridal party?
No, but we do want some, but we don't need.
We want some fun stuff. We want some funky stuff. But like, sit down and say, okay, I want one big group photo. I want a picture with every bridal party. I want a couple funky ones. Boom, done. Yeah. That's all you need.
No.
If you want more, cool, awesome.
And let's keep in mind, all your bridal party are going to be at the dance later on.
And so you get those candids.
So it's not like you're not ever having any more photos. Like there's lots of photos with everybody.
You get the most pictures with your bridal party.
Yeah. So there's so many more opportunities for your photos.
For sure.
If you're on the dance floor ripping it up with your girlfriends, I'm sure your photographer will,
and you're all
get
at
you.
the head table. Yeah. You're all doing all the things together.
And that's again more candid, and those ones are the ones you're going to love anyways.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So last but most definitely not least.
No, our favorite part of the day.
Our favorite part. Bridal portraits.
Yes.
Yeah. This is something that the main thing with bridal portraits, obviously, go alone. Make it you two and your photographer. We don't need the bridal party making. We don't need the peanut gallery. Hu and Han in the background.
Listen, as much as we love the support, we don't need it.
But the photographers are your hype people. They got you.
Yeah, this is usually the part of the day where we like. That's usually why I think most photographers try and do the bridal party photos first.
Yes,
and then
let them go have fun.
And then we're done, and we say, okay, go back in the bus and hang out, drink. Yeah. Now we don't care what you do,
for sure,
because we want you and like your partner to have a nice time by your or
yeah, because that's the only real time in your wedding, like. Typical weddings are so fast paced. It's like boom, 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 this, that. And you're with your photographers, videographers, whatever, but that's the only real time you get in the day to just
this is the first
soak each other in. This is your wedding.
This is the first part of the day for most people that they get to be alone. And obviously
and acknowledge each other.
Obviously your photographers are there with you, but this is the quietest, most personal part of your day, because this is the first part of the day that you actually like get to just cuddle up to each other and have fun together and like soak it all in.
Yep.
I think for our photographer listeners, this is a good point to talk about. I think it's important to remember that yes, like this is our favorite part of the day, right? Yes. Like and it is, because this is the fun part. This is the part every photographer loves. We get to be creative and they get to be all cute and lovey. But we need to remember that this part of the day, like as much as we want those photos for our portfolio, those beautiful smiling like money shots, as you call them, this is their wedding day.
This is their moment.
This is their moment. And you know, honestly, what's more important than getting all the perfect photos is that they enjoy themselves.
And that will reflect in the photos.
Because it will, it'll reflect. If they're not having fun, and again, if you treat it like a shot list and you're just trying to check things off of a list.
And you're rushing them from pose
and
to
you're
pose
rushing
to pose,
them. That's not the best experience we want to give them. No. I mean, personally, that's how I feel, because we want you to have fun. Like, it breaks my heart if like they are stressed during this time of the day.
And if they're like, wow, and I've heard it from people before, like, oh, I didn't even see my like groom all day. Like we didn't even acknowledge each other. And like, that's your wedding. Like you need that time I've had couples that, one in particular, they did like a little picnic and they did personal vows in the ceremony, but they did like a letter. So it was more like intimate, and like we didn't video it. We were like far back, but they wanted it, like they wanted us to shoot it, but we stood back because it was so like you could tell how vulnerable they were being. It was the most beautiful moment, because and then we did a couple portraits, we left, and they just sat there and had their little picnic. They had charcuterie and champagne. It was the cutest thing.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And they prioritized a moment for themselves in their wedding day.
And we still did the family.
I love that you guys.
And we did the bridal party, but it was like they really wanted, and they decided we're going to do a picnic. They made the charcuterie board. They had the champagne, and it just like it told the most perfect.
I love the fact that, like you said, you guys kind of took a step back.
We did, yeah.
Because also, again, I want to talk to our photographer listeners for a hot second, because. Yes, as there's a lot of moments that happen in a wedding day that are really, really personal. It's a wedding, okay? Everything's personal.
Yeah, for sure.
But I've done the same thing too. If I see like a really personal moment happening, of course I will stay and take photos, because they know that's why we're there, to take photos. Yeah. But there is honestly a way of like reading that room.
For sure.
And if they're having like, take your photos and then leave for a hot second. Let them have that time.
Because like I said, it's like they want to look back on it, but like. I like how you said there's a line, like you're going to get it, but you're also going to give them space. You're not going to be like, oh, can you do that again? Can you hug again?
No, honestly.
It wrecks the moment.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not, if they're having a really personal moment, I definitely am not saying, oh my God, move your hand. It looks really awkward.
Yeah, no.
Like, no. That's their time.
And also, that's where you need a good experienced photographer, because if you don't know your settings, if you don't know your things, if a moment happens, it's a moment. It's not a pose. It's not a prompt. That's something you can't recreate. So you got to be on your toes. You got to get that shot.
And you have to be able to read the room and see, okay, this is a moment
I need to step back because Dad's a little
back.
uncomfortable that he's standing ready to do the first look. And he's like, this is so weird. There's a camera. Like, you need to be the fly on the wall and stand in the corner. And make him as comfortable as you can do.
And this is when we kind of talk about how we're not just photographers because we do a lot of other things in a wedding day.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like you almost have to be like a little bit of a like, not a therapist, but like, okay, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's almost like you have to
have
read the energy,
read the room,
read the energy. You have to have a little bit of mindfulness when you're going into shooting a wedding because you can. I mean, I don't.
Like, how does Dad feel? How does she feel? Do they want us here? Do they want us in their face?
Of course, I treat this as a job because it is my job. But I also treat it as a wedding day, as an important moment.
It's an honor for you to be there.
It is. It really is. They could have chose anybody and they chose you because they like you. And I think a lot of like, I personally hope that like a lot of people pick me because of the things that I do like this, where I like give them space and I'm able to give them a moment and we're able to be mindful. No, I think that's important.
And your couples are going to remember that. And you too will remember that as a couple. At that moment, you got to sit together and say, this happened this morning. It was so fun. Like, and when I saw you walk down the aisle, I had this thought, like, and you probably forget those things later on. So to have that moment during that day for you to just breathe, like, tell each other what you felt, like, I think that's so, and we just get so in a wedding day, like, checklist, boom, and it's gone. And like, to have that moment to sit and reflect during, I think if you can prioritize that.
Good for you.
So good.
It's so important.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, and for photographers and couples, like you said, I think we need to take it slow. With the bride and groom portraits, letting things happen naturally, letting them enjoy it, letting them like take each other in, and just taking it slow, it's like you you slow down time almost in that moment.
It's funny you say that because I'm just thinking about sometimes when I'm taking pictures, I always try and match the energy of my couples because there's people are very different.
For sure. Some people want that.
There's very like upbeat, high energy people that like that's how they are.
Yeah.
And then there's the complete opposite where there's couples together that are quiet and
for sure.
And just slower and they just want to like take in the moments. So being able to read that and take that in and matching that energy because like they'll respect that. Some people might not
want that. They just want to party.
If you're a very chill, slow, lovey kind of couple, you don't want to be like, woo, let's take some beautiful photos. You look so like,
and then they're gonna be like overwhelmed and like, no, we just want to.
You got to definitely, I feel like read your couple, and you should already know this by the time their wedding comes around because you're doing your prep, you're doing your phone calls, you know who your couple is, so that's all.
And that's the job of a photographer, is that pre-work to understand this couple is like this.
Yeah.
They will want me to shoot. And like, we can both be the hype person. Yeah. We can both be the slow, whatever. But like, that's the job of your photographer.
It really is. Yeah. So that's very important.
Totally. And I guess something that people don't really think about too is, do you have to do your portraits the day of?
Yeah.
Or do you have to do them, like we have been kind of going in like the timeline of a typical wedding. Mm-hmm. But one thing I love is, you have this like time in between where your guests have that like awkward time where they're trying to like between the ceremony and reception, but golden hour pictures,
which we all love again.
Honestly,
freak out for golden hour,
and it's such a like it's become a trend the last couple of years. Like when we first started shooting weddings, it was starting. I think. But like if you can sneak away for even 20 minutes, half an hour, and go out. Take another breather.
Again, it gives you a moment to be together.
And the light is so good. And like, you've had supper, you've done speeches, like everything, all the stress is gone. Yeah. And like the photos of the couples during golden hour versus even if like some people do the first looks and do your pictures then, and there's still the anxiety's there. The difference that makes.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And like, yes, the lighting's beautiful and whatever, but you can just see it in their faces that they're like, we can have fun. We can chill. We can do the weird poses.
Also, they've had a bit of vino. Yeah. They're like letting loose a little bit more.
They've had supper. They're full. Life's good.
Yes.
And also another thing, people do sometimes, like, they'll do portraits before the wedding, but I really like the idea of doing them after. Maybe not the day after, because you're going to be exhausted and drained,
like
but
those
like 2 or 3 days after,
or adventure sessions after a wedding day.
And honestly, why not? Then you don't have to spend that hour in your wedding day. And like, some people are like, oh yeah, it's not your actual wedding day, but like, it's 3 days later. You're still in love. You're still like on cloud 9 from the wedding. Yes. And the stress isn't, you can spend 3 hours if you want doing portraits. The nice thing about
doing portraits a different day also is, like you said, the stress is gone. Yeah. You get to choose when you do them. You could wake up and do a sunrise session. You can wait and do a sunset session.
You want to go up the mountain in a helicopter?
You can go anywhere you want. There's no stress. There's no timeline.
Exactly.
You can... the possibilities are kind of endless.
And again, the stress is gone. The wedding's over.
And you're still celebrating your love.
You're probably ready to go on your honeymoon, whatever. Like, it's another option. And like, in the big picture, you'll probably have to pay a session fee or whatever. And sometimes photographers will be like, yeah, let's just do it. Like,
but if you're looking for something different to do, like, that's something to think about.
Oh yeah,
like,
I think that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
And I think, like, for the most part, trust your photographer. They know what they're doing. Have fun. Don't be stressed about your checklist. Do your thing.
A fun thing too that we haven't really talked about yet is, like, I guess we kind of did, but incorporating some sort of like prop or incorporating something different into your portraits on your wedding day to make it truly like
something
unique.
That is you guys too.
So like something common that people will think of is like a classic car or like a vintage vehicle. People love that. Or a picnic like you talked about. Or like your pets.
Yeah.
I've seen people do that where they have their animals. Yeah. I had a wedding where they brought their cats out and they took pictures with their cats. It was actually beautiful.
So cute.
Yeah.
Or like you could find like a cute like spot you went to on your first date. Like anything that you can do to spice up your pictures and make it about you guys.
Also, that helps you with your ease. Like you're like more comfortable because it's something that you guys like
are
to do.
Familiar with, love. Yeah. You know, I think that's such a good tip. But yeah, for the most part, I think
the moral of most of these is to kind of enjoy it, and it will reflect in your photos.
Plan it, but plan, like, just know what you want. What do I want out of family photos? What do I want out of bridal portraits? What do I want out of
Don't be just doing things because you have to.
No.
I think that's most of the moral of the story of most of our episodes.
For sure. Yeah.
But I think as long as you're like a little bit calculated and you just think about what you're doing, I think that you'll be happier than if you just do things because you have to, or you think you have to.
Yeah. And that's a big thing with weddings that we've really realized is, like, you think there's all these things, check. This is what people do at weddings. But like, you just got to do what you want and what suits you. And yeah. But thank you for listening.
What a good episode.
I know. I think
this is like, we talked about this before, but I think like these questions that we go over in this episode are some of the most commonly asked questions by brides for us. Yeah. Most of the time, most of my brides will ask me one of these questions. For sure.
Yeah. And it's something that, like, you don't really know. Like,
no, if you've never gotten married before and you've never been like a part of the planning process, obviously, why would you know?
Or if you were a wedding that was 20 years ago and you're in a photographer's studio and it probably took a long time.
Yeah, things have changed quite a bit.
Things have definitely changed. But yeah, our next episode in this little series is reception and dance.
Also, that's going to be a really fun one.
I think it's a really fun one because there's some hot takes.
There's some hot stuff. There's some things to talk about.
Yeah.
There's lots of things.
Yeah, I think we got some fun ones. Yeah. But this one, probably one of the most important parts of the series because it's the thing that we're the most involved in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of...
I'm sure we could do more even talking about this and break it down even more.
There's so many things. Yeah. I'm sure they'll come up in future episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys for listening.
Tune in soon for the next one.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.